Well, this is interesting. Dovetail Games have just announced something that I never saw coming, and I have some thoughts on it. Despite what some people may be thinking, I don't actually hate what's been announced. I recommend checking the pinned comment on this video before leaving your own comments. On the morning of February the 6th, known as Waitangi Day here in New Zealand, I woke up to find that DTG announced a dedicated Thomas the Tank Engine game called Wonders of Sodor. I'm not too keen on that name, to be honest. This is on top of the recent announcements of the release date for the long-awaited Great Western Express remaster, not to mention newly announced remasters for East Coastway and Schnellfahrstrecke Köln. And they haven't even released the proper February roadmap yet. Come to think of it, props to Dovetail for using the classic Thomas theme song, instead of that engine roll call thing, in the trailer. Your mileage may vary, but personally, I think that it's a good idea for DTG to separate the Thomas stuff from Train Sim World proper. But at the same time, and now that I think about it, I'm concerned about the possibility of it taking Dovetail's attention away from what I reckon a lot of people would think they should be doing, sorting out the existing problems with Train Sim World, such as the blurry textures on consoles, semi-frequent stuttering on numerous routes, multiple trains being released for TSW6 with one or more of the new core features missing, that light bleed on the Class 101 from Tees Valley line, the infamously buggy NPC logic, and, of course, making sure DLC doesn't get released in a rough state in the first place. We don't refer to them as doesn't test games for nothing. I was intrigued by the size of the motive power roster that will be included in Wonders of Sodor. Instead of just Thomas the E2 and Diesel the Class 08, as was the case in the original Thomas and Friends Visit the West Somerset Railway add-on, the main game will include Percy the Avonside 040 saddle tank, Gordon the Grizzly Pacific prototype, and Emily the Stirling single. Even Bertie the bus is joining the, for want of a better word, party. They're modelling James the Red engine as well, but to my disappointment, he'll only be available as part of the Deluxe Edition. My issue with this decision relates to the fact that the base game is already going to be expensive enough as it is. Dovetail are essentially repeating the same thing that they did with the Class 390, which was sold separately from WCML South, and, more recently, the Class 220 Voyager, which was sold separately from the Riviera line. It's disappointing to see that other engines like Edward, Henry, Toby and Mavis are not included in Wonders of Sodor, but I guess it is what it is. From what I've seen of the preview videos and screenshots so far, the game is going to feature lots of recognisable locations from across the Isle of Sodor, including, but certainly not limited to, Tidmouth Sheds, Knapford Station, the Sodor Suspension Bridge, and that one bridge next to the watermill on Thomas's branch line. Personally, I wish they could have done the Skarloey Railway, complete with locomotives number 1, Skarloey, and number 2, Ranius, or better yet, the Mid-Sodor Railway, complete with Duke, Stuart, and Falcon. As an aside, when I saw this preview screenshot of Diesel on the WOS website, I initially thought that he looked like he was high on something. In any case, I'm a bit disappointed that Dovetail went with a CGI-era aesthetic for the locomotives, since I much prefer the first 5 seasons of the TV series, but again, it is what it is. I remember saying, in a previous video, that I reckon DTG should make a dedicated Isle of Sodor route, and I'm somewhat happy to see that idea coming to fruition, even though it's not in the way that I was expecting. Thinking back to the initial Thomas DLC, released in March 2025, I wasn't a fan of seeing Thomas and Diesel running on the West Somerset Railway because I thought they looked out of place there. I even wrote a Trains 2019 story based around the TSW add-on. The story is named Turn Up the Radio (Mickey) after one-hit wonder songs from Autograph and Tony Basil. Speaking of fan-made stories, it'll be interesting to see if anyone can make their own stories using the wonders of Sodor game. Incidentally, I told my parents about the Thomas announcement, and Mum responded with words to the effect of, "It'll just be like Wood and Thomas. The kids are going to be nagging their parents to buy more and more." I can't help thinking that that could be why Dovetail made James a separately sold add-on or part of the deluxe edition. I can't think of any other reason why they would do that sort of thing. The base game will be £30, while the deluxe edition, including James, will be £40, so do with that information what you will. Setting the price aside, I really don't want to see only the simplified controls included again. One of my major issues with that Thomas on the West Somerset Railway add-on was the lack of an option to use realistic controls. In summary, the announcement of Thomas and Friends Wonders of Sodor caught me by surprise, and on the one hand, I'm kind of looking forward to the game, although I suppose a better way to put it would be to say that I'm cautiously optimistic. But on the other hand, I can understand why people would dislike WOS. In any case, and if you've stuck around to the end of the video, you win the victory of an American actor after he shaved his head. It's Alec Baldwin's bald win.